So, what are we looking at? Well, if this center of this plasma ball is considered to be the sun, and the vacuum inside this glass sphere is the vacuum of space, then what you're looking at is perhaps electrons, or perhaps light, going from the central sun to the edge, to the glass sphere. And I suspect there's actually light you're looking at there, not electrons, because it's not affected by magnetic fields, and you can try this yourself. You can get hold of one of these spheres, they used to be around quite commonly. I can touch the sphere. Okay, that won't burn me. But when we do this, see that? And I can get a spark going. We've got current flowing. And not only that, it sticks to the wire. I don't know if you can see that. Once the spark is set up, the wire gets stuck to this contact. And this is a single contact here. This is a single contact. A single wire, single contact. And if I touch the wires together, nothing. But if I have a spark gap, there we go. Now I've got this continuous spark flow. And that, my friends, is a very, very interesting thing. Okay, I'll try and explain why. And okay, so if this is a comet's tail, this is the energy coming down from the sun. And as the energy comes down from the sun, it charges up the Earth. And we can actually even see it arcing between the Earth and the Moon. I've got a video from 2 YouTube users. Both filmed this just at the time we were highly charged.
Is that the Aristarchus crater? Look how that looks. Yeah, it gotta be the Aristarchus. Gotta be. Oh, freaking look like flames.
So what's happening is, this information is so important. This is why I'm putting it out here. We're no longer talking about passing the comet, because I first got into this because I was worried about perhaps there is something to the stories that Comet Elenin was going to bring maybe a collision course, or maybe there's going to be some sort of disaster associated. We had the earthquakes correlating with the alignments. So I decided I'd better get down and investigate this and see if I can figure out anything, see if there's anything to all this. And what did I discover? Well, I discovered that the clocks, as a result of the Associated Press article, and thanks to MR2, YouTube user MR2, I discovered that the clocks really did slow down. And I then made the correlation that there's a slowdown was happening as the alignment between the Earth and Moon became parallel to Elenin's tail. I've been reading it's hydrogen cyanide is one of the elements, which is a dielectric, and a dielectric is something which could carry charge. So, where's the charge coming from this? We're supposed to have circuits, and we always taught in school that electricity is in a circuit, and the electrons come on one end and go up the other end, and well, where is the circuit here? Where are the electrons coming from? Are they coming from that light? And then somehow transmuting into electrons here, and then they don't come out this other end unless there's a spark. Anyway, this is things to be solved, but the realization is that this, what's happening with the clocks is they're absorbing energy into the quartz crystals, and the quartz crystals are expanding as they absorb energy. And the energy is coming from this alignment. So the idea is the sun's, there's got a flow of energy down the comet tail, and then that energy is inducting, or maybe even sparking, I don't know, inducting from the comet tail over to the Earth-Moon alignment. The greatest amount of transfer of energy occurs when the Earth and Moon parallel to the tail. So that's very important. The crystals are charging up. As they charge up, they expand. As they expand, this is a piezoelectric phenomenon, which is well understood. I mean, phonograph records use this. We're sitting in reverse. They would have a needle going over a phonograph, and as the needle compressed the quartz crystal would release a little bit of energy, and then that'd be amplified, and you'd hear that as music. And some people would say that it wasn't music. It depends what you listen to. So this is the piezoelectric effect in reverse. We've got energy going in and distorting the crystals. And as the crystals expand, they become, the resonant frequency reduces. And that shows up as a slowdown on the clocks. And of course, then when you have a discharge event, and I suspect lightning storms are related to this as well, discharge event, which happens when our planet and the moon align up with certain other planets further out in the solar system. For example, Jupiter's a very common discharge event, and we have earthquakes on Earth, Moon, Jupiter alignments. If we're charged, if the Earth has been pre-charged with too much energy, we discharge on the Earth, Moon, Jupiter alignment, or there's something out to the direction of Orion, and we discharge on that, and that's actually the most common discharge direction. Earth, Moon, left of Orion, just below Orion's belt. What I've suddenly realised is what's happening, what is the earthquakes? The earthquakes, of course, when we get too much energy. We're getting too much energy coming in. So when you get too much energy, the crystals and the marble, and you'll find it along all these fault lines on the edges of the plate. The marble and quartz is found along these fault lines, and magnetite. And the plates themselves are made of all these different minerals, layered on layer, and that's like a capacitor. An electrical capacitor is normally made up of a conducting and a insulating layer layered on top of each other, and they charge up, they store charge. So the Earth charges up and expands in these situations when we are, for example, the Earth and Moon are parallel to a comet's tail, or the Earth and Moon are pointing at, say, Mercury or Venus or the Sun. Okay, but Mercury, Venus and the Sun, these direct alignments like that are not so powerful. It turns out the comet's tail is the most powerful one. At least it's the most powerful I've observed. And so we've got this big alignment coming up with the comet's tail. Next alignment coming up with the comet's tail in terms of parallel alignment to the comet's tail is going to be on around September 10 and 11. We'll see a lot of earthquakes. We have a lot of charging up. The Earth will expand. We'll have earthquakes popping off everywhere. And then it'll be a discharge. I have to go back into my chart, but there'll be a big discharge when we get round to the Jupiter alignment. And on that alignment we'll discharge. But actually it might even be before that, because I believe on September 11 we are in alignment, the Earth-Moon are in alignment with Neptune. And Neptune's a pretty big planet, and it's a long way out at the edge of the solar system. So I see it seems quite reasonable that we could discharge into Neptune at the peak of that. So there'll probably be a big earthquake on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. However, the alignment coming after that, which is on September 27, starting September 26, 27, 28, is actually us, the Earth, Moon, in alignment to the Sun, with the Elenin in between the Moon and the Sun, and the tail going over the top of the Earth. And at that point, we're going to have the most massive charging event we've witnessed in perhaps 3,600 years, I don't know. And at that point, we're going to have, well, it's going to fry every piece of electronics that we have that's not protected anyway. And we're going to have earthquakes like we can't imagine at this moment. And there's going to be a big discharge event that will line up with Jupiter. But that is the doom and gloom part of it. And unless you prepare, there is going to be doom and gloom. And ignorance is bliss, but ignorance leads to fear because you have uncertainty and doubt. And let's eliminate the uncertainty and doubt. That's what this is really all about, eliminating uncertainty and doubt. However, every cloud has a silver lining. I know it's cliche, but it's true. You see, because what have we discovered from this study of this comet and this observation that the comet is charging the Earth? Well, yes, the comet's charging the Earth. The Earth is charged most of the time. In fact, the Earth is charged all the time. When you have a comet tail alignment, the amount of charge which is released at the end of that on one of these alignments to an outer planet or to position left of Orion, the amount of energy released is like, I think for the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami, it was almost 1 gigatons of TNT, the equivalent of 1 gigatons of TNT, 1 billion tons of TNT. Well, that's a lot of energy. And that's because, and what's the problem? Because when these events occur, we have too much energy. Energy is everywhere. Energy is all around us. This is what's become obvious. Energy is all around us and it's just waiting for us to tap into it. We're buying fuel from monopolies and cartels. We're buying electricity from monopolies and cartels. The same monopolies and cartels that run the weapons, military-industrial complex, they run the governments, they run everything. This, suddenly, realize that the energy is everywhere, and all we need to do is tap into it. Like a Tesla tower. What was it? A free transmission of energy? I don't think it was a free transmission of energy. He wasn't transmitting the energy, he was receiving the energy. This is what it's all about. And there's a certain frequency that this energy is emanating on. All you have to do is tap into it. And the biggest clue is probably one of the noisiest channels on a radio. If you have a radio which you tune into any frequency you want to do, what is the noisiest one? Well, it's probably the frequency where all the energy is located. And okay, so we tap into the energy because we've got too much energy. We're talking about free energy. And when people talk about free energy, mainstream science comes out and says conservation of energy. You can't have free energy. No, we're talking about free energy. We're talking about energy that doesn't cost anything. It does come from somewhere. It comes from the sun. It comes from the sun every day, and we've got energy all around the planet. But it's free if you know how to tap into it. What the mainstream science ignores, of course, is earthquakes, the tidal flows. Where does that energy come from? Conservation of energy is what we should be shouting back. Conservation of energy. Where does the energy come from? It comes from the sun. But it comes from the sun in an electrical form. This is the energy. It's flowing from the sun every day. So we've got several benefits here. Suddenly we know that there's energy. They're all around us. We can tap into the energy whenever we want. We just got to figure out the frequency of this energy and tap into it. Okay? These quartz crystals are already tapping into the energy. So we're halfway there. The quartz crystals are already sucking up that energy and then discharging it with doing, and I'm seeing it as a problem with the clocks. We're seeing it as a problem with the clocks. When clocks are going too fast, clocks are going too slow. No, this is the energy. We're seeing the energy flowing in, flowing out. So the energy is being absorbed by crystals. And someone sent me a message in my inbox about magnetite. There are all these different crystals which will absorb energy and store energy and then release it. So this is a very important piece of information. And another thing that's important is what is located on the geocentric center of the Earth? And what did we observe during the Virginia earthquake? What did we observe in Washington, D.C.? We saw a massive discharge when they cracked a block at the top of the Washington Monument, which is of course an obelisk. And what were in Egypt? Obelisks. And what have they got in Egypt? And all around the world, in China, in Bosnia, in South America, in Central America. What have they got? They've got pyramids. And what are these pyramids? They're made, well, in the case of the Egyptian ones, they were supposed to have been clad, I believe, in marble. And perhaps limestone, or a special kind of limestone. And they're made out of limestone blocks. And these are crystalline stones that have the special electrical properties. And what was there? And on top of the pyramids was supposed to be capped with gold. Well, why would you cap it with gold? These are electrical discharge devices. These are devices that have been built to protect us from the situations when we get too much energy. And this is what's about to happen. We're going to end up with too much energy. These earthquakes are the result of the Earth having too much charge. The pyramids were built at strategic locations on ley lines, and the reason for ley lines is because ley lines are related to fault lines, and fault lines are where these crystals are being discovered, where you find marble and quartz, magnetite. You find them on ley lines, on these fault lines, and the fault lines are fault lines because that's where these rocks are. It makes sense, you know. So these rocks expand during charge-up events, and they should contract during discharge events. Well, the purpose of these pyramids is to discharge when there's too much charge. When there's too much charge, they're there to release it. They're the safety valves. We've got to repair those safety valves. If we don't repair those safety valves, we are in big trouble. So that is really the message I've got for you today. The pyramids need to be repaired. We've got to repair these energy releasing devices to release the surplus energy when we get this superdose which is going to come. And if there's a Planet X on the way, you know, Elenin's just a warm-up. The pyramids are there so that we don't suffer massive destruction. The whole thing of pyramids has been so adulterated and corrupted by secret societies who have lost sight of exactly what those pyramids really stood for. It's a shame. So, now we know. The pyramids must be restored, they must be repaired. And at the same time, we can start building free energy. Free as in free beer. Free energy devices. We're just one step away. And I'm putting this information out there because this is extremely... the information I thought I was going to be putting out there was only about earthquakes. We can forecast earthquakes because we know the orbital elements, we know the ephemeris for all these bodies in our solar system. And if you knew the timing of incoming and the ephemeris for incoming comets, you could forecast earthquakes because you know exactly when these things are going to line up, you know exactly what's going to happen, you know the properties of these objects, you know what's happened in the past, you can say what's going to happen next. You know there's going to be a charging up event here, you know there's going to be a discharge event here. Of course you can forecast these things based on the best information you have. And you can also do short-term forecasts with quartz devices which would measure the speed up and slow down, or in this case just the expansion and the shrinkage of quartz crystals, which you can measure in the terms of their speed of oscillation. So if you were just measuring, you built crystals specially to expand, maybe you build a spherical crystal. A spherical crystal would actually expand to a greater degree than maybe one that was made in the shape of a tuning fork, which is ones in these clocks are made. That's the shape they use for these clocks. Or one will make a spherical quartz crystal and measure the change in resonant frequency for that crystal. And that could be used to determine the level of charge at strategic locations on the planet. And with that, even if you didn't know where the comets were, their planetary alignments, even if that knowledge was not available to you, just from these quartz crystals, you could determine we are highly charged, a big earthquake must be imminent. And I think you'd also maybe discover that just prior to one of these earthquakes, certain crystals will become even more highly charged, and it'll be like a sudden rush of charge coming in, and that's because a discharge event is about to occur or is occurring. And that could be like a early warning system for a major earthquake, which would be put in every city. You could have in every city an early warning system for earthquakes. So you have a long-term earthquake forecasting system based on orbital elements of planets and comets and everything else that you can find in space that's coming into alignment or coming into our solar system. You could then, from those long-term forecasts, heightened alert when you know charging events are going to occur, and then with this monitoring system using quartz crystals, you could then a early warning system for people in locations where buildings are likely to be damaged, saying, or there's likely to be a tsunami event, there's going to be a big earthquake and it's happening in the next 30 minutes. Get out of the building. Okay, so this is what the positive thing that's come out of this. This is what could be built. And the other positive thing that's come out of it is, of course, the energy is everywhere. We've got energy everywhere. We don't need oil cartels. We don't need the energy monopolies, the electricity monopolies. We don't need nuclear power. Look what happened, in Japan. And if that wasn't a wake-up call, I don't know what was. Because we let the energy build up, we didn't have an early warning system in place, because we're using nuclear energy for electricity and not using the natural energy which is all around us. We're using this most dangerous energy, the most dangerous way of producing electricity, which contaminates nuclear waste, which has to be kept cool for thousands of years. I mean, this is insane. We don't need that energy. We don't need nuclear power. We just need to tap into the energy that is around us. And here it is. It's everywhere. And when we tap into that energy, we will be free. On September 10, September 11 will be major earthquakes. You'll be able to see the charge up as it occurs on your quartz clocks. I would like everyone who's watching this video, if you're watching it in time, to go out and buy a cheap quartz clock. 2 if you can. It only costs $1, maybe $2. Take accurate timing records of this clock every 24 hours. Every 12 hours, if you can manage every 12 hours. Check the time against something which is pretty reliable. I mean, I say that the internet server time is reliable enough for this experiment. You can check your clock against that. And check it to the second. And you, to the best of your ability, and plot it, or write the numbers down with pen and paper, or put it on a computer, but pen and paper, write the numbers down. How many seconds fast or slower is it? And every day it's going to be so many seconds fast and so many seconds slow. But as the quartz crystals charge, and they will charge, and the charge will build up until we get to September 11, September 10 perhaps. Will build and build, and as it builds and builds, you'll see that the clock is going slower and slower. And the first thing you'll think is like, I must have got it wrong. I mean, that's what I thought when I first saw this. Well, I must have made a mistake. There's something seriously wrong with this clock. Why is this clock so wrong? Well, no, it's the crystals are charging. So keep careful note of the charging of these crystals by keeping track of the exact time. You've got to do it at the same time every day, and you've got to write down the exact number of seconds that's fast or slow. And then over a period of days, you can go back and look at these numbers, and you'll see a pattern. And the pattern is this charging event as the Earth and Moon become parallel to the comet's tail. And when they're parallel to the comet's tail, is the maximum charge is being transferred to the Earth. And if you've got a decent SLR camera, a video camera preferably, go out at night. If you can see the moon, the shadow side of the moon, if you're in a position to see the shadow side of the moon, we're actually coming up to the full moon around that period of time. But if you're in a position to see the shadow side of the moon, start filming it, especially when you're charged. You'll be seeing sparks. You'll see these lights on the shadow side of the moon. Those lights are discharged lights or charging lights. This is a spark. What you're seeing on the moon is a spark. And as far as the comet breaking up, of course you would expect some sort of breakup. The thing is, about Comet Elenin, it's the tail. It's not the rock at the middle. It's the tail. There is no rock here. All we've got is tail. This is all tail. And every one of these wires in this cable is carrying charge. So the bigger the tail, the bigger the charge, I'd say. If the head of the comet is fragmented, you're going to have many, many more particles making up the tail. There's going to be a bigger, wider tail. I think that's going to make it much more severe crossing. I think it was a bad situation and it's just got worse. So I'd recommend you, as well as setting up this experiment, you're really going to prepare for the worst. And the pyramids are not going to be repaired before the crossing. That's what it goes with certain. Someone obviously was interested in repairing them before the millennium. We look into Flight 990, Egypt Air Flight 990, and what happened to that flight and what they were about to do. As far as I understand it, there were people on board, including some Egyptian priests, for want of a better word, who were planning to cap the pyramids with gold. I think they were going to restore the pyramids. Well, that airline, that flight flew straight into the ocean. And the pyramids were not repaired. So there are people who don't want these things, this information out there. There are people who don't want the pyramids to be recognized for what they really are. They are discharge devices. They are safety valves. They are safety valves of the earth. We are charged, we're continually charged, we have endless amounts of energy. We've got more energy than we could ever dream of using. But sometimes we end up with too much energy. And it's when we end up with too much energy that we have problems. It's not a shortage of energy. We've always been told about not enough energy. We're going to run out of energy. We need more energy. It is a lie. There is too much energy. We have more energy than we could ever want.
Exploding star coming to a telescope near you. Over the next few days, those of us in the Northern Hemisphere will have a rare chance to watch a star explode, hopefully via nothing more than a small telescope. What are they talking about? Well, they're talking about supposedly an explosion taking place 25 million light years from Earth in a spiral galaxy called the Pinwheel, also known as M101. So let's get Stellarium up and look for the Pinwheel. Let's do a quick search. Now if you do M101, you're taken to here. Zoom in a bit. What is a pinwheel? This is the pinwheel. This is called the Pinwheel galaxy. Okay, this is a pinwheel galaxy. Here's another story about it. The Telegraph, exploding star to be visible from Earth within a fortnight. The most visible exploding star in a generation will be visible in the skies above Britain within a fortnight. Oxford University astronomers have announced. Okay. The rare Type 1a supernova, an event where a star explodes, then sucks up the energy from another nearby star and is reborn, happened in the Pinwheel Galaxy located in the Great Bear constellation. So let's look that up. Let's pull up the constellations and see what it is. Is this the Great Bear constellation? Wow, look at that. It's the tail of a bear. What does the M stand for in M101? That could be interesting. Let's find that out. Pinwheel Galaxy, Mizar 101. Mizar. Sound familiar? Mizar. Yeah, it does. Remember the scene at the beginning of Deep Impact?
Asked me. He's really nice.
Yeah, to you, maybe. You guys getting some good work done over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it. What's the bright one?
Mizar. It's a double star.
Good. The one next to it?
Alcor.
Good, Peterman. And the one next to that?
Okay, so here's Mizar and Alcor. That's on the bear's tail. And what's the bright one next to that? Well, we already know that. It's the Pinwheel Galaxy. Okay? We've got the Pinwheel Galaxy here. But what happens if we search for pinwheel? And what do we get? We get the Pinwheel Nebula. I'm not that keen on this 101 business, but whenever I see 101 I think there's a problem. Okay, so Pinwheel Nebula. Where's that? Next to Virgo. So, Pinwheel Nebula, M99, right next to Virgo. Pinwheel Nebula. Why don't we look up M99, see what it is. Okay, and Wikipedia has it as, it could be etafine, a veterinary tranquilizer, or maybe it's an M99, a state highway in Michigan, or is it an M99, a sniper rifle, a Barrett M99. Sounds like that kill shot thing. And, oh, there it is, Mizar 99. Mizar 99. Let's look at that. Mizar 99. That's interesting. So it's also called Mizar. I guess that's what the M stands for. Okay, and Virgo. Virgo HL101. Dark galaxy. It's a dark galaxy. That's getting curiouser and curiouser. Okay, but anyway, let's go back to Stellarium and see, is there anything significant about M99 as this Mizar M99? Well, we've got it on the current dates. Why don't we step to the dates and see what happens as we get closer and closer to the infamous date, September 27. Couldn't be that this would line up with all these other alignments. Here comes Elenin coming up, Sun is coming down, Mercury's coming down. Okay, we're getting closer. Ooh, it looks like a bit of an alignment. Here comes the Moon. Oh, fancy that. I'll go down hour by hour. Oh, wow, that's almost a perfect alignment. The only thing out of place would be Mercury. Wow. Couldn't be M99 they're talking about going supernova, is it? Did they make a mistake? Is that the wrong Mizar? Why would they choose Mizar M101? What are the odds of that? So, all the experts are telling you this is one big comet, go back to sleep, nothing's happening, it's breaking up, and yet you don't have access to a X-ray telescope, you don't have access to an infrared telescope, you don't have access to detailed spectral analysis, you don't have access to magnetic electro analysis of this comet, but you do have access to a radio telescope. You have access to the Earth-Moon telescope. You can buy these clocks, you can check the times, you can take accurate notes every day, and you can see if there's any change in your clocks. And if the clock speed slows as we come to September 10, and then on September 10 at around 5 p.m. there's a big earthquake and your clock speeds return to normal, well, maybe you should start thinking about making some serious preparations, and you'll know what to do. While everyone else is telling you it's just a coincidence, nothing's going on, these things happen, well, you'll know better. So watch the experts, see what they have to say, listen to the mainstream media if you need to, but watch your clocks and pay attention. Okay. Wish you all good health and safety, and yeah, hopefully we can have a better future. Thank you.